much different challenge this week, a little different brand of offense, but really good running back for you guys to encounter. What have you seen from Arkansas?
Oh, I mean, obviously they rush for 232 yards a game. You know, they've got it's almost like single wing football a little bit with KJ back there and the way they run the ball with him. I mean, they've got three backs that are all capable. They do a great job offensive line wise of picking everything up and moving the line of scrimmage in their favor. So it's a great challenge for us. You know, we haven't proven that we can step up and stop the run the way we need to, and we need to make sure that we do that. So that's really what we've challenged our guys to all week long. And you know, they want to be physical, and you know, we need to make sure we're ready for that.
What did you think of J.P. Burgess against A&M?
You know, JP, I'm so excited for him. You know, he got his opportunity there. Had you told me, you know, I don't know, 6 months ago that JP's playing 54 snaps or whatever it was against the Aggies, I probably would have laughed at you a little bit. You know, and that's not derogatory towards JP. It's just he's done a good job of making improvements, and then he got an opportunity, went out and made plays. You know, we had kind of scheduled him to be into that third down package, and that role obviously expanded once Buki's situation happened.
Just to make sure, you guys are planning to not have Buki then in the first half, right?
Well, right now that's because the ruling with the conference, and so he'll be back in that.
I guess how does he kind of prepare to, you know, have a game where he goes in, he's not playing the first two quarters, and then is obviously going to be thrown into
probably better ask him that, to be honest with you, get a good answer on that. The way we've handled it this week is he's really done a good job. We've kind of rotated those guys through the practice, kind of treating the first half of practice like the first half and the second half like the second half, you know, to simulate it best you can.
This Arkansas quarterback situation is awfully interesting. I mean, how much mystery does that take in for you guys, not really knowing who's going to play?
Yeah, I don't think you buy into it too much until you go play and figure it out from there. You sit there and you worry about whether or not KJ is going to play, and you haven't prepared for it, and then all of a sudden he's in there. That's a problem. So you better make sure you just focus on what you see on film and prepare for that, in my opinion, and then adjust from there. They're not going to change who they are identity-wise just because of one guy, I don't think. So that's number one. Plus, they go in there and they put you know, Malik, number 4, in there. He's very capable as well. You know, number 10 went in. It's a little different situation. They're down, different scenario. You know, so I think you prepare for what you've seen on film and then go from there.
The LSU and A&M games that had some really good backs to throw at you, but you kept them from taking over the game. Does that build more confidence in your group going into a game against a guy like Sanders?
I think it does. I think the thing that I would actually challenge that from the standpoint that A&M, I think some of the other situations took them out of the game a little bit with the score. You know, our offense did a great job. We make a couple big plays on special teams. We make some big plays on defense. Get them in situations that are behind the stick, so they're throwing the ball a little bit more. So to me, that actually took away more than what we did, and so that's been the challenge. Like, we need to step up and we need to do a better job in that area, coaching it, playing it, all of it. And so that's you know, that's been the challenge this week, to be completely honest with you.
Your impressions of John Lewis the past couple of weeks?
You know, kind of the J.P. Purvis question alludes to that. You know, John he's a backup for Buki. We get in the situation with Buki. John did thrown in a role in a critical situation on third down package. He goes out there and really did an extremely good job. I mean, he's hard to block. You know, he's twitchy. He plays hard. He plays really hard. And as long as he's going in the right direction, he's hard to handle.
Seemed like you had 4 of those 4 linebackers on the field at times.
4, yeah. There's been times we've had 5. You know, it's just trying to. When you do that, obviously, easy versatility with people being able to drop from different areas, and it just gives you a lot of flexibility as a defensive staff.
I know you moved, you know, obviously fully to linebackers, I should say, but you guys are all pretty involved in special teams. What was it like kind of seeing Forbes come around with that block and return one, especially, you know, in that pivotal of a moment?
Yeah, does it really surprise you? You know, Forbes makes great plays in situations, and they're just routine plays. I mean, Coach Gallant worked with him every single day out here post-practice, and then you go out there, you get in that situation, and he does what he's coached to do, and you see the result. And so that's just a routine play by Forbes that he prepared to do, and then got the opportunity to execute it. So
whether it be on special teams or on defense, I mean, he mentioned that, you know, he kind of read a hand signal that A&M had. That's how he was kind of able to time that jump off the line, I guess. Is that something that players kind of notice themselves? Do you guys notice it as coaches on the sideline and talk about it? How's that going to go on a game day?
Usually you're trying to have that before you get on the sideline. Those are things you pick up through film, you know, and indicators that you try to uncover throughout the week.
What do you think of Drew Sanders?
What do I think?
What do you think of Drew Sanders from what you've seen at all?
Drew, the linebacker?
Yeah,
he's a really good player. He's a really good player. I remember handling him, or having to handle him, deal with him at Alabama as far as their special team. That's how I remember him. You know, I haven't really watched his film much other than getting ready for A&M. obviously, their defensive tape, and he's physical. He does a lot. He'd be really good Sam linebacker at what we do defensively,
Being at home, how important are those momentum plays? You talk about the pick six and the block field goal. I mean, how important is it to give the stadium and the game a little juice?
Oh, I think it's critical. I think momentum in college football is critical, home or away. So I think when you get a play like that, obviously it interjects a whole nother level when you're at home in terms of the energy, But those types of plays, block field goals, big returns, interceptions for touchdowns. I mean, the 70-yard, 75-yard throw that they had to rah-rah, those are huge momentum swings. And in college football, momentum is critical in my opinion.
Coach, you kind of talked about it all during spring and training camp that Rufus was earning his reps during practice. It was hard not to play him. Just as the season's gone on, what have you seen from him?
Yeah, just what you like to see out of guys as the season progresses. He's getting better every single day. I think he caught about 10, 15 balls today. It seemed like it found him today. So, proud of him the way he's been playing. Obviously, I got to stay on him and keep that progression going, because it's easy to find some early success and think you've made it. But luckily, I think he's a pretty sharp kid, understands where he's at, and he needs to keep working. But what he's done so far, I've been really proud of.
What have you thought of some of the other guys in your group, like Jaden and Austin and Jameer?
Yeah, no, I think overall there's been a pretty big emphasis on playing when the ball's not coming to you and when it doesn't find you as much. We've been fortunate enough to Duck's playing really good and Rah-Rah's playing really good, but this past game I was really, really proud of our guys. We rushed the ball for a good amount of yards and we blocked really well. Wally didn't light it up in the stat sheet, but blocked his butt off and led to some of those really big runs. So loved him up on that. Obviously we gotta do a good job of still running our routes and getting open and doing all that when the ball does come to us. But playing away from the football, that's been a big emphasis for my group, and I think we've taken a step for sure.
What kind of impact do you feel some of those older players have had on a guy like Rufus?
I think it's been pretty good. Having a guy like Austin, we talk about this all the time, but he's been through a lot of games and SEC games, so he can kind of tell you the ups and downs and the flows of, offenses when you don't play as well, and then when you go on those 96-yard drives, just kind of how it turns out. So having a guy like there who's a steady presence and you can lean on him for experience, I think has been really good for a guy like Rufus, who maybe hasn't had that much experience, up until now. So
back to Jaden Wally. I mean, how do you? Obviously, that's a coach's job. How do you keep a guy engaged that's used to getting 9 or 10 targets a game and used to being in the end zone? How do you keep him engaged because he played a lot of reps there, he just didn't give any targets?
Right, yeah, and you just got to show him that. You got to show him that, hey, and a lot of it had to do with what A&M was doing to us too. They were putting 8 or 9 guys in the middle of the field, and that's kind of where our routes happen. But you just got to show them the film and let them understand, like, hey, in this situation right here, the ball may not be coming to you, but you got to run your route and run it hard and expect it every single time. But when the ball's away from you, how good of your teammate are you to block for your other teammates and get open and pull a guy out of there so the ball finds, J-Rob or Tulu or Rah-Rah and all those guys. So seeing the success as a team and helping those guys understand that it all fits together. And a guy like Wally, I think he's just a really good teammate anyway, and he understands that. So it hasn't been hard coaching it, but you got to do it. There's no doubt.
Former player I was talking to today, he was talking about the Rufus touchdown. He said that wasn't just technique. He said that was a weight room play. To be able to drag a guy 30 pounds heavier across the line. How much more in shape and stronger are your guys this year?
I think they're in a lot better shape. Halfway through the season, you start to worry about that sometimes, especially with the receivers on our team. Guys wearing down, bodies wearing down. But credit to Tyson Brown and our weight room guys; they've done a really good job. And I've said this before. Rufus is deceptively strong. When you look at him, he doesn't look like he'd pull a guy across the end zone, but he'll surprise you every now and then. So I was proud to see him finish that play for sure. Obviously,
you're only 5 games in, but what have you kind of learned about being a full-time position coach now this year and kind of the different role you've been in?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough in my first job to kind of I was a receivers coach previously, but at a level like this and just all the other things you got to think about and have to maintain and always focus on. I always stress the details, but it's like I tell my guys every single day. I'm learning every day, but I'm trying to attack it and go 1-0. How can I be the best coach in the meetings and the practice and even just one drill? How can I be the best coach in that to help our guys moving forward? And I seem to think if I focus on that, it helps me just day to day, and can't worry about tomorrow, can't worry about down the line, just got to worry about today.
I know this Arkansas secondary has struggled, they've been banged up, but what have you seen from them overall?
Yeah, banged up and struggling is kind of relative to me. I think when you turn on the film, they still play really hard. You know, I think that was the case over the last 2 years, and I think that has to do a big deal with Coach Odom and Coach Pittman. I think they get those guys to fly around, and they hit and they run and they play really, really hard. So they've played a couple tough offenses that's got some good players, but we know they're not going to let down, and they're going to show up ready to play, and we got to show up ready too.
Arkansas's offense on film and what you know about, if anything, about their quarterback situation.
I know nothing more than everyone else knows. I anticipate he's going to try out there on the first snap and be just fine. He's a heck of a football player. It's amazing some of the things he does on the football field with the ball in his hands. And then obviously we're talking about the ninth most productive rushing attack in football right now. And so and they've gotten the better of us running the ball last 2 times. So Coach Browse does a tremendous job. I mean, they make you account for all 11 guys on every single play and defend every blade of grass, the width and vertically. So yeah, it's quite the challenge this week.
Raheem Sanders he's already exceeded his production.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to hear it again.
Raheem Sanders, he's already exceeded his production from last year. What have you seen from him that makes him so dangerous to lead the SEC at rushing?
It's the stable of running backs. Him obviously is leading it right now, but their ability to, in their zone run game, to stretch you horizontally and then see the seam and get north and explode through the hole, tremendous job. And they get downhill on you, inside zone, counter gap scheme plays, counter plays. They're in a run play they don't have that they don't excel at running. So it's kind of to be expected when your head coach is an O-line coach by trade. They impose their will on teams at the line of scrimmage and typically wear out the defense.
Your defense did a good job, though, handling a very physical Texas A&M team. What were you really pleased about in that game?
I was pleased we won. I was pleased we got 4 turnovers. We did a nice job on third down, and when it was passing situations, disrupting the pocket and affecting the quarterback. We did not do a very good job of stopping the run on normal down and distance, and that's going to be the name of the game this week. So I think it's probably pretty clear the message to the defense what we need to be better at.
You mentioned the turnovers. Most of the turnovers, though, were forced in kind of clutch situations, particularly there in the second quarter. Is that kind of the sign of this defense? They just get in the red zone, they kind of tighten up and get tougher?
I hope so. It's nice to have guys who make big-time plays in critical situations,
Coach Pittman said in his press conference this week that you were a defensive coordinator that had no fear, but he noticed that you liked to run blitz maybe a little more than people realize. What's your response to that?
I would say I think Coach Pittman's he's probably seen me on the sideline with my knees shaking when I call some of those blitzes, and so he's probably trying to goad me into calling a few more because they probably got some plays dialed up for him. But I can't be complimentary enough of their football team, the job they've done there. I mean, that is a tough, hard-nosed program. They play the game the way it's supposed to be played, and obviously it's reflective in their results and the success they've had. I mean, they out-tough people, and I mean that in the highest form of compliment I could possibly give.
Obviously a lot of praise this week after the performance that J.P. Purvis had. What did you see from him maybe in the offseason that led you to believe that, if that situation came up like it did with Buki Watson, that he was the guy you could turn to?
Yeah, I mean, JP's a big physical guy, athletic. He can run around fast, change direction. He's big and strong. He got recruited, I believe, as a DB and ran down on special teams and kickoffs. And when we came in, he had to come back from an injury, but he's continuing to get bigger, stronger. He's still very fast, and so he grew himself into a linebacker, and we knew it was just a matter of time before he got his opportunity. He would show everyone else what we get to see in practice.
Is it easy, I guess, to use a circumstance like that to maybe some of the other guys who aren't getting as many reps and being like, hey, that opportunity could come up at any moment?
Yeah, I think Coach has been trying that probably forever. But usually when guys are frustrated, they're not playing. They don't want to. They don't always hear that message.
How important is rotation and substitution when you've got a physical offense like Arkansas face?
Obviously, it's very important. They do a phenomenal job, though, with tempo and hurry up and not substituting. They keep the same 11 guys that you have out on the field. It forces them to play maybe longer sets of snaps than you would ideally like. So The only way I know to combat that is be better on first and second down and get off the field on third down. But, you know, they'll sub every now and then, and that gives you opportunities as a defense to do the same. But, yeah, we're going to have to rotate guys because they're, you know, I think I looked at last year's game. I think we played something like 80, 82 plays in the game, and you're foolish to think you're obviously going to play your starting 11 that many plays.
Last couple of games, you've gone to a situation with only one guy having his hand on the ground at the line, of some stand-up linemen, everybody in a position to kind of attack is maybe a little Jolie Dunn flavor there almost. But what does it say for the versatility of your guys that they can play from all sorts of stances and positions?
I do think we have some flexibility up front. You know, we got some linebackers who are big, strong dudes who they can do some things on the interior that typically you would have a defensive lineman do, but they are big enough and strong enough, and actually maybe add a little quickness advantage. But once again, those opportunities only arise when you create specific down and distances where you make the offense, you know, have to pass the ball and push the ball down the field. And, you know, quite frankly, you know, if we don't defend the run better, we won't have any of those opportunities this game. They pounded down people's throats. It's awesome.
What do you think of Javon Banks, kind of what you guys have gotten from him, you know, in the early part of the year? It seems like he's been getting in there for some pretty crucial reps.
Yeah, like you said, you got to be able to rotate multiple D linemen. And so Javon, you know, he's got on the field a little bit his first couple years. He's obviously seen some increased time now with Crumedy having not been available so far this year. And so he's, you know, got some plays where we'd like it to be better, and he's got some plays where he's made the most of his opportunity. He had a sack last game. And so hopefully he just keeps maturing and growing and improving, and he's, you know, just like the starters who are out there.
Of course, you're busy with your defense when they come off the field, but some of your guys are staying out there for special teams. When you see Emmanuel and DeCameron combine to make the play they did, how rewarding is that for the coordinator?
Yeah, or the position coach for sure, right? No, those guys, it was a big-time play, you know. I mean, Forbes to get the jump he did on the snap and lay out and block that one, and then for DeCam to – but the nice part is it's actually guys, you know, executing your job. You see a lot of that where a block kick happens and there's a guy who's assigned to be the scoop and score guy and be in the right position, and oftentimes, you know, it's really easy to be lazy and act like it's never going to happen, you know. So then when someone makes a play, you don't have someone in the right position to actually capitalize on it. But, you know, I think every player would tell you that's the kind of guy DeCam is, right? I mean, he's going to do his job on every single play no matter what, and turns out usually rewarded for that.